This is the City of Waupaca's City Plan Commission meeting.
All right, welcome everybody to our regular scheduled City Planning Commission night. We actually have a public hearing that is occurring first, and so we'll handle that. Today is Wednesday, October 5th, 2022, and it's 5:17 p.m. We have a public hearing that has to do with a zoning change for Times Square Joint Ventures LLP, 800 West Fulton Street, and it lists the parcel on there. And this will relate to ordinance number 20-2022. There was a public notice that was sent out and posted. And Jared, I'm just going to ask you to tell us what that public notice is.
Yeah, of course. For the people in the audience, Aaron, could you go to the regular agenda and then go to page 11? And then you may want to zoom in just a smidge to the maps, and then we'll use the map on the next page as well. So this request is zoning change on parcel number 343022-7, which is 800 West Fulton Street. Many in the audience, and I'm sure Plan Commission members would know this as the Kmart and Piggly Wiggly site. Somewhat unique. Most people, I'm sure, just realize or just think that the Piggly Wiggly old Kmart site, that is the entire parcel, when in reality this entire parcel does go back over the whole hill that is behind this main structure. So Aaron, if you scroll down to the next map, so this specific request is a rezone request that was brought forward in kind of sort of a city requirement. As you can see, the circled portion of that map encompasses both the building part of the parcel as well as the hill part of the parcel behind it. As such, this parcel is currently dual zoned. So in order to bring this parcel into compliance for anything that they want to do future with the old Kmart building, Piggly Wiggly renovations, site redesigns, things like that, they need to bring this parcel into compliance. Any parcel splits, condos, things like that. So this request is being brought forward as part of a city requirement to bring a dual zoned parcel to a single zoned parcel, which would be zoned B4. As it is zoned B4, it would be also assume the Fulton Street Overlay District, corridor district. So nothing you really need to vote on for that. That just accompanies the B4 zoning in this area. Say receive some questions prior, so kind of answer those generally before. The intent for this is to rezone this parcel to a singular zoning. So that they can then split the parcel into two parcels, which will encompass parcel 1 being the hill and parcel 2 being the buildings. There is no development plan for the hill at the moment. Really, we're just focusing on that to bring the dual zoned parcel into compliance. So that's the gist of it. I'm happy to take any questions when that time comes. Or answer any questions that come up at the public hearing.
Jared, maybe this might help.
Sure.
Hopefully, if you explain to them and us. So right now, it's dual zone, but the hill is basically R1, single family.
Correct.
And the recommendation of the rezoning is to go to B4 strip commercial district. So can you just tell us basically what is allowed in an R1 and a B4?
Yeah, so for really the general comparison, R1 is single family residential. So that would be your typical single family home, attached garage, detached garage if they wish, things like that. The B4 zoning district, that allows commercial elements. So that would be retail general, could be restaurants, could be some sort of storage aspect, indoor storage. Could be, going down. Could be a grocery store. Could be a fast food restaurant. The Little Wolf Auto on or on Western Ave is in the B4 district. Could be that, could be a Starbucks, could be a motel, hotel, elements like that. So just general commercial is what the use could be.
Okay. Thanks, Jerry. All right, so this is a public hearing. We are required to have a public hearing on any rezoning. The way that public hearings work is that anybody that would like to speak to the commission, they would need to step up to the podium, give their name and address for the record, and limit their time at the podium to 3 minutes or less. We are not here to answer questions at this time. We are just here to listen to your comments. As it turns out, once we have this public hearing, we are going to have a regular City Planning Commission meeting afterwards, and these items are actually going to come up at the meeting tonight. So if there are questions that you might have, you might want to stick around for the actual City Planning Commission meeting. But again, if you want to make comments, you certainly have that opportunity to do that. So formally, I'll open this public hearing up by asking anybody that's in favor of this rezoning to step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your time at that podium to 3 minutes or less. This would be for people that are in favor of the rezone. Okay, do we have anybody that's in opposition to the rezoning? Again, same procedure, step up to the podium, give your name and address, limit your time at the podium to 3 minutes or less. Any opposition to the rezoning? All right, I'll declare this hearing closed at 5:23 p.m. and we'll start the City Planning Commission meeting in just a second here. All right, again, since we're on TV and videoing this, I'll start at the beginning. Welcome everybody to our regular scheduled City Planning Commission meeting. Today is Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. The official time of the start is 5:24 p.m. You have an agenda that was sent to you or online that you downloaded. We would need a motion to approve that agenda as printed.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Wayne, that we approve the agenda as printed. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Some bookkeeping things we need to do here. We have some minutes from our September 7th public hearing and then also our September 7th regular City Planning Commission. We ask that you vote on that so that we can approve those and place them on file.
So move for approval. Second.
We have a motion by Fair, second by Olson, that we approve of those 2 minutes. Any discussion on those? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Action items, zoning change. Times Square's joint venture LLP, 800 West Fulton Street, and then that's parcel number 34-30-22-7, and it also goes along with ordinance number 20-2022. Jared, I'll turn it right back over to you again.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So in your regular packet, this item starts on page 10 with the ordinance. Staff report follows. I won't go into too much detail since I didn't so in the public hearing, but really the request is to rezone the R1 portion of this dual-zoned parcel to B4, strip commercial district, which would bring it in line, obviously, with the rest of the parcel and eliminate a dual zoning within this parcel. Subsequently, if it were to be rezoned to that B4, just like any other B4 parcel in this Fulton Street corridor, I would assume the Fulton Street corridor overlay district. Nothing you would have to vote on there. That's just part of the ordinance, how it's written for that corridor district. Again, this was city initiated or city required based on the applicants wanting to split this parcel into multiple parcels or into 2 parcels, and then they're looking to eventually condo that as well. So, or condo one of the other parcels, but that'll be in the future of this meeting. So right now we're just looking at that rezone request from R1 to B4 to eliminate the dual zoned parcel.
Do we have any other property that's dual zoned? Is that a common
Yes.
thing?
You will see that coming forward probably January or February, a slew of dual zoned parcels being city initiated. City initiated zoning changes will be coming forward to you to resolve those. Hopefully in February, January. We'll see.
Thank you, Jared. Henry, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a general question to staff. Is that really a developable piece in the back? Because it's such a slope. I know at one time, I think the city thought we would extend Western Avenue up and get back in there, and then I think we envisioned some residential maybe on top of the hill, but there's not a lot of buildable space. It's really kind of a waste of ground, isn't it? I don't know. Has somebody looked at it?
Well, it's like you're in our meetings because we just had a conversation about the road extending north, just in just conversation. But I don't know if we can answer that for sure. I mean, I think there are some topography challenges that would make developing more challenging than other spots. We haven't had any serious interest, anyone come to us with serious interest about developing that area at all.
I guess where my thoughts were going is to the west. There's a nice large parcel at some time that might become available. And what would we like to see there? Housing, probably, or multifamily. So is multifamily allowed in B4?
It is. Permitted use by right.
And that's not a TID. We didn't do anything with TID creation there, did we?
That is not a TID, and that TID 4, it is within a half mile of the TID, but it is that expenditure period is gone.
Yeah, the purpose for this ordinance change is just to get rid of the dual zoning. That's the intent. There's nothing that's going on that hill, but there is something happening down in the strip mall part of it, and so to take care of that, they need to do this. We need to do this first. So this is actually the first step. And this is in ordinance form, so Planning Commission, if you're okay with this ordinance, we would be recommending this to council. And then once it's recommended to council, obviously, the way we handle it in the city of Waupaca is we have 2 readings. So this ordinance would be presented to the city council at its meeting on October 18th, and then and that would be the first reading, and then so the first time opportunity to vote on that would be November 7th. That would be when council would see the second reading of that. Okay.
I'll move that we recommend ordinance number 20-2022 to council.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Wayne, that we recommend to council ordinance number 20-2022. This is an ordinance amending 17.102 of the zoning district map as allowed under 17.700. Any further discussion? Just a voice vote here. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. All right, next action item B. Jared, I'll just let you go with it.
Sounds good. This one starts on page 19 of your packet. So I guess along with this rezone kind of comes steps 2 and 3. So the property owner is looking to section off the hill portion of this parcel Again, it wasn't discussed fully with us if there's a development plan for that. We have nothing in our hands, nothing in our knowledge of that. But they just were wanting to keep it separate for the rest of the process that we're going to talk about in this meeting as well as in future meetings. So really the first step in this process is the rezone. The second step is to section off the hill portion of this current parcel, which would include a chunk off of Bailey Street. So we couldn't create a parcel that didn't have street access. So that's why you see this proposal extending all the way over to Bailey Street, kind of a, I'll say an L shape. And that map can be found on page 18 of your packet specifically. So certified survey map has been brought forward to do so based on the development interest of the strip mall portion of the parcel. It is recommended by staff that we do proceed with this lot division through a certified survey map. And I guess I will leave it at that for now. And then the next agenda item, we will look specifically at the strip mall section, or strip mall parcel that is to be created.
So, Jared, just so I understand what the request is here, we are looking to approve, we're just looking to,
And this will be a recommendation to council.
so which is this the condominium plat or the certified?
So this current one is a certified survey map, so it's going to be a lot division via a certified survey map.
Okay, so that's actually action item C, is that correct?
Oh, I am so sorry.
That's okay, we can, do they have to be in a certain order?
They don't. I can go over both.
Let's
and then-
just do C for
Okay.
now. Okay.
My
So we're looking at-
apologies.
That's okay. We're looking at 3C, and that's a certified survey map, which basically is taking the hill and splitting that off from the rest of the property.
Correct.
Okay. Everybody understand? And again, this would be a recommendation to council.
Okay, I have a question, if you.
Yep, go ahead.
On page, again, on page 18, and that's where we sort of started with this, the portion to be rezoned and is, which portion, I'm trying to get a visual here in terms of is the part that's the hillside that we're not doing anything with? Is that the slanted in the back of this?
Yes. So it's a little odd. So we're just rezoning the R1 portion, which when we're looking at this map that's up on the screen, page 18 right now, it's going to be the essentially top left quadrant of the dark purple parcel. So it's only, the part we're rezoning is only a portion of this parcel since we're only rezoning the R1 section
To B4,
to B4. So the whole parcel is intended to be B4.
correct. And that's the 14.6 acres.
That's you're asking that's going to be rezoned. Some of that is going to be rezoned. So that purple square, that part of that purple square is zoned B4 already, and part of it is zoned R1. So we're looking to make the whole thing B4. So part of it is already zoned to B4, and we're just looking to eliminate that R1 in that previous action item.
Okay.
And now this is looking to take more than what's being rezoned and make it into its own parcel.
I think I understand.
Okay.
So are they're going back into the hill further? So my
Right.
guess is that's needed for future development to get the square footage, probably a security road or a safety.
Yeah, so
safety
it's
road.
essentially this new parcel that they're looking to section off is going to encompass the whole hill. So pretty much from base to base,
Okay.
it's going to be this new parcel.
Well, and I think I can't read their minds, but I think as you can see, that hill really has nothing to do with future plans of the strip mall part of this discussion that we're going to have later tonight. So a reason why it's being split off.
Yeah, just so we have this conversation a lot. Every time a project comes forward and a proposal for a new development comes forward on a parcel that has dual zoning, we always look to clean that up and get it into one zone. So that's that really. And I know I'm going back to a previous action item, but we haven't talked too much about anything happening in that new spot. And now we're talking about a condo or a certified survey map.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions? We don't have a motion, but I would entertain a motion to recommend to council the certified survey map.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Motion by Veliker,
Second.
second by Wayne, that we recommend to council the certified survey map for Times Square Joint Venture LLP. Owner Americo Real Estate is the company, is the applicant, and it's 800 West Fulton Street.
Mayor, can I ask just one question then?
Huh?
Is that then on page, what we're looking at here on page 18, does that include all of what we see here as opposed to just the real heavy dark line? I mean, the certified survey map, is that everything on this page, basically?
So no, the certified survey map is,
Just the dark lined area?
yeah, it's describing,
Okay.
yeah, specifically the dark
Okay.
purple parcel.
Because I see all the other zoning descriptions, so I just want to make sure we're talking just about that rectangle with the little box on the right.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's okay. It's perfectly. Anybody else? Again, voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Let's go back to 3B then. That's the condominium plan.
My apologies for skipping around again. So this agenda item can be found on page 19 of your packets. So this now, we have left. So now we're moving forward. So picture that the current parcel is now split into two. The hill is no longer part of the question, the equation. We're now just looking at the strip mall portion of the parcel, which will eventually be its own parcel. So on the strip mall section, or for the strip mall, the request has been brought forward to condo the commercial structure. So discussions were had initially of in what way could this commercial structure, which is currently all interconnected, mall form, could it be split so that two different entities could have control over this building? So the first option was where now is currently the vape shop and cost cutters. Could they be relocated to another part of this building, and could that be torn down and a new property line created? Unfortunately, the leases didn't work out that way, so they really couldn't go down that option. We explored other options and really landed on this condo plat option for the fact that it allows the building to remain structurally pretty well as is, but allows the two different potential owners, one of Unit 1 and the other of Unit 2, to have their own separate control over each subsequent unit. So as such, the line was drawn directly alongside the old Kmart building that divides the old Kmart section of the building from the cost cutters, vape shop, vacant storefront, vacant Sears, and then Piggly Wiggly. So those would be separate, and then a new potential tenant will be taking over what is labeled in the condo plat as Unit 1 for their new development. This will allow, when they come forward with site plans, they're only going to be focusing on Unit 1. And then, if Piggly Wiggly owners want to do something with that, they would only bring something forward for Unit 2. So we're essentially creating 2 new parcels by condoing this parcel, which is a bit unique. Typically, you just see the condo plats occurring in the residential realm of things. But the same thing has been done to the south of this parcel with Everyday Hometown and the other businesses that are in that mall, strip mall complex. So the request, again, is just focusing on the strip mall portion, and they're looking to divide essentially the parcel in half so that each respective unit can have its own owners. They can make their own decisions. They can bring forward their own site plans, things like that. And I will say that along with also this certified survey map and this condo plat, there are just conditions, general conditions, that, the lot standards for each Unit 1 and Unit 2 are met and maintained. Verification of Condition 1 shall be produced, which they've actually already worked on and produced to display things like open space, landscaping they'll be working on. Of course, any site plan and other zoning permits are required. Utilities should be evaluated and adjusted as needed to conform to all city and utility requirements. Both owners are already aware of those requirements and are working on it. And then, of course, just traffic, landscaping, stormwater, and other zoning and planning items should be evaluated and adjusted as needed to meet the requirements. So just want to note those couple conditions, which the applicants and both potential new property owners or current property owner and new property owner are aware of. Happy to take any questions.
All right, so what the request is from the property owner is to split the one unit into 2 condominium units. And as Jared has said, the line is actually the east side, right? That would be the east side of the old Kmart building. To the further east would be 1, and then to the west of that line would be the other unit, which is actually Unit 1. So 2 separate units, same owner so far, would own both of those condo units.
Jared, would these 2 units, though, would be sharing a mutual wall, is that correct?
Yes, so they would be sharing a mutual wall. So during building construction, that would need to be evaluated. Off the top of my head, thinking of any other shared mutual walls or buildings that are close to each other, there's going to need to be some sort of firewall created, which for commercial structure, I don't know the requirements. But something would have to be done. If it's not already done, it very well could be. I don't have the building plans for the building, and I have not been in the building to know.
If they continue to share a mutual wall, and it's typically one building with 2 units, do they have to do like residential and have an association to make decisions based upon the whole structure?
Nope, they would not be required if they so pleased. They certainly could, but that would be up to them.
Okay.
Yeah, Henry, go ahead.
Well, I think it's a great move if it helps redevelop this site. This is a dated area. I think Unit 1, man, that's a large amount of ground. I think we've improved on our parking requirements because when this was built, the parking requirements really made for a huge parking lot. And if I'm understanding right, whoever owns Unit 1, I guess depending on the covenants or whatever the sales agreements, there's a lot of opportunity to develop this corner down what would that be, the south? Southwest. Because I know at one time we lost a franchise restaurant in that corner because of the covenants, certain tenants at the time. I think it was the Subway was in there, and you couldn't have a competitor. We lost a nice little project in that corner, so I'm hopeful that you guys have some great success and something can happen in that corner potentially.
Yeah, so again, you must be in our meetings. That was something that was brought up to staff or by staff. I did present to the prospective new owners of Unit 1, just basing on what their plans are, what their thoughts. That discussion was actually had off of an original site plan that they had submitted to us as just kind of a preliminary discussion, pre-development discussion. And bringing that forward, there was really nothing proposed in that corner. Right. A new site plan they have presented actually has them utilizing a lot of that space for new development that's going to significantly better their business and their success, hopefully, here in the city. So that was presented to them. Unfortunately, depending on your perspective, there really won't be any room for a new, a restaurant or any sort of that in that corner. That corner is going to be mostly composed of a new structure for this prospective business, as well as stormwater elements and green space to assist with, again, just the large asphalt that's in that area. They'll be adding stormwater features and green space, not only to that corner, but in other areas of this parcel as well.
Well, and it looks like you got an opportunity to improve flow through that parking lot that's kind of funky the way it is now.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, based on their site plan, it's going to be a really great improvement to this parcel. And they have been super accommodating to city requirements, as well as, us trying to accommodate what they are looking to do on the parcel. So I think in the end, it'll be a really great development.
Yes, sir.
Jared, are there any, I'm looking at the same map, are there any other entrances or exits that would be included off of either Fulton Street or the street that runs up, I can't think of which, Western Avenue?
So there will not be any new entrances. So the streets going up Northwestern Avenue, or the entrance off of Northwestern Avenue, and there's actually technically two, one right in the front of the building and one to the rear of the building. Both of those will stay. Both of those will continue to be utilized for, deliveries. You can see specifically for the new parcel or the new building that's being proposed up front, potentially. They'd be utilizing that first exit a lot. I'm sure they would still grant access for deliveries into the rear for like Piggly Wiggly, the other retail tenants that are back there, just because their loading docks are back there. So I'd assume they'd have some sort of agreement that allows them to cross over Unit 1 to get to Unit 2 for deliveries. In terms of off of Fulton Street, so there will be some changes there, and that's part of Unit 1, so hasn't been displayed in this yet. This is, again, just preliminary, just tossing out ideas, showing potential improvements to the parcel. But there's going to be a requirement to improve traffic safety at the intersection of Fulton Street, that private access, and then the access going to like Neville Motors, the Goodwill kind of area parking lot. So, Aaron, I'll maybe rely on your mouse skills here. So actually, right at that intersection, there are currently two big openings. Other intersection of Fulton and Neville Motors. There you go. So there are two entrances once you get out of the intersection, one to the right, one to the left. So Aaron's kind of pointing at them now with his cursor. Those two will be closed off. Traffic will be redirected so that it flows up to the main traffic or to the main route right up against the buildings. And then the intersection will stay the same, just traffic will funnel down into that. But there's been a lot of safety concerns, DPW's expressed as well, just with people trying to turn into that intersection. I mean, in all honesty, from a enforcement or legal parking enforcement, the lines there are double yellow. Shouldn't be being crossed, but they still are. Just small little tweaks like that, or small things like that kind of amount to those being closed, improving traffic flow, safety, elements like that. So a little lengthy to your question. So no accesses will be cut off, but we are hoping to improve them to make them safer.
Thank you. So let's go back. We are actually talking about just approving if you're okay with it, the condominium plan and dividing this large property into two different units, Unit 1 and Unit 2, as described earlier. Jared, you're going to have to help me out here again. I know we ask this a lot, but is this a council approval or city planning commission?
This is also going to be council approval. It'll follow the same track as the CSM, and it'll be heard, or it'll be decided. The CSM and this condo plat will both be on the agenda the same time as the second reading for the zoning change.
So we won't see it at the next meeting. But
Correct.
2 meetings. All right, so if you're okay with this, we would recommend to council the condominium plan that is up on the screen.
I'll recommend that we approve this to council.
Second?
Motion by Olson, second by Wayne, that we approve this condo plan. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. All right, you got one more action item here. Letter D, ordinance number 21-2022.
Perfect. And I'll take a moment. There are representatives from those agenda items in the audience, so if they would like to stay, I'm sure they are more than welcome. If you would like to leave, we won't force you to stay.
It's still early.
Perfect. Enjoy the fun with us. All right. So 3D, this agenda item starts on page 31 of your packets. So this ordinance, we've discussed a couple times now, just in the regular discussion, no ordinance format. This time it is coming forward in ordinance format. This would be recommended to council. If that would be your wishes, that would be the recommendation of staff. So ordinance is all fine and dandy. There should be the red line. So the red line starts on page 36. Again, this would be the easiest way to show what's really changing on this new ordinance. So a lot of the minimum areas are being reduced from 8,500 to 5,000. Again, just basing this off of historical parcels that we have in the city. There is no issue with that size lot. We're bringing some of them just more into compliance, making it easier for them to use the use on their parcel. Minimum width, along with that, we have to lower. So we are lowering it to 50, just trying to stay with that ratio. Minimum open space. Staff talked about this a little bit and, again, felt that trying to make it a little simpler, a little less convoluted, more readable. At the current point in time, we have the minimum open space based on lot size. We are just making that a one requirement for minimum open space, which would be 25% of the area. So again, just making it more readable, a little less restrictive, but still keeping that requirement so that we can ensure we maintain pervious surface on the parcels for stormwater issues, things like that. Structural standards, lowering those, making those consistent across the board. That 450 number was actually already referenced in some of the other zoning districts. So again, just making it consistent across the board. Some general just language change, cleaning that up. And then the next are looking at heights. So one of the things we have talked about is accessory dwelling units. Our code does allow for them. One of the things I've heard and read by limiting the height, to a height that's much lower than what it should be, you're also prohibiting the usage of these accessory dwelling units. So raising that to the recommended height of 35 feet, that could essentially accommodate a living space a living space above a detached garage, for instance. Rest of the changes for this R1 single family district, again, specifically are in the setbacks. lowering those to accommodate the new lot size. R2, a lot of the same changes, remaining consistent, trying to make it more readable, easy to understand. R3, some of the same changes, more consistent. And then we get into some of the business district. Again, lowering those, making it a little easier, accommodating a few more of the smaller lots that currently exist. And then the other big change would be in the I-2 district. So currently in the I-2 district, which is typically heavier commercial, typically you see a little bit taller structures. For example, the foundry is an I-2. So when looking at that, it had the same height requirements as an I-1 district, which is typically lighter industrial uses, not as tall. Didn't feel that was quite appropriate, doesn't match any other community. So raising those heights to a more appropriate district, quantity in the I-2 district. So really those are the big changes. Put into ordinance format, and then would be looking for a recommendation to council.
Okay, and if you approve this or move forward with this recommendation, this is also in an ordinance form, so you would have a first reading and then also a second reading. At the second reading, you would decide whether to approve this ordinance.
I'll make a motion to move this to council for approval. And just a question, Jerry, when you show it to council, will it have the same kinds of red deletions and all that with it?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. We'll have the ordinance and the red line,
Okay.
just to show, since the red line's easier to see what's changing.
Yeah, we have a,
I'll second.
thank you. We have a motion by Fair, second by Olson, to recommend to council ordinance number 21-2022. Any discussion?
I think this is a great change. It allows some density for dwelling units. And as we age as a populace, I can see mother-in-laws being a nice housing alternative for some people in our community. And this, if I understand it, would allow that kind of thing. So I think it's a really nice improvement to the zoning. A little more density for housing, and it's good.
Great, thank you. Anybody else?
I really like your formatting to Pat's question. This is very easy to follow the changes, Jared. So thanks for putting that together. I like it.
Ready? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. All right, now we're down to discussion items. And the first one we have is accessory structure discussion. That's you?
Thank you. I can let you take it though, too.
Allow all accessory structures. Let's go back.
Oh, boy. Okay. Anyways, so this one starts on page 45 of your packets. Again, this is just a discussion. I wanted to bring this forward. If it is a favorable change, I can bring it forward in ordinance format. So recently had some inquiries for some properties, and I should have included a map of the specific properties or streets these properties are located on. I did not. I do apologize. But essentially what had happened is those property owners had contacted the city, asked about putting up a 200 square foot accessory structure, 10 by 20. They wanted to put their lawnmowers in, things like that, just extra storage, clean up their yard. Given how their parcel was laid out, they had a street going on their front of their house, and they also had a street going on the rear of their house. So per our code, they had 2 street yards. And so it didn't matter if it was a rear street yard or a front street yard, they had 2 street yards. And we see this a lot with corner lots as well. So the question was asked, can I put up an accessory structure? We wanted to order it, and we had to tell them no. And the reason for that was our code did not allow for any accessory structures in any street yard. So again, on a corner lot, you had to make sure that the accessory structure was on the opposite side of the street, so that wasn't in a street yard. And for these couple properties that I had inquired about or talked about, they could not put a accessory structure technically in their rear yard because it was a street yard. So one change I was proposing was changing that language in accessory structures to say, instead of accessory structures are prohibited in the street yard or primary street yard, it just says accessory structures are prohibited in the primary street yard. So essentially they wouldn't be allowed in the front of your house, but they could be placed in these properties cases in the rear yard, even though it's technically still a street yard. Primary street yard would be determined based on what their mailing address is. So if they are on, if they have a Royalton address, their front yard, primary street yard is Royalton, or the yard that abuts Royalton. So happy to take any questions. It's a request I've heard from. I'll say it doesn't affect a large populace in the city, but I've been contacted by 4 to 5 that were interested in putting up sheds. They were disappointed that they couldn't, and they had asked if anything could be done. I said I would bring this forward as a discussion item sometime yet this year, and so I am doing so now. Happy to take any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns with such a change.
So, Jared, I think it's a great idea to move forward with this discussion. We've had this discussion in the past, and it might be pre-you, but we've had this discussion, so I'm glad you're taking it and moving it forward instead of just continuing to discuss it. My only concern would be on side yards would be, and that would, I'm sure you can protect that, is that it doesn't get in the view of vehicles as they turn onto the roads and stuff like that.
Okay.
But otherwise, I think I think it's unfair that just because they have a street on 3 sides of their house, that they're unable to put an accessory structure out there.
Do you need a motion? Sometimes our zoning ordinance is our own worst enemy. One of those houses isn't on High Street. Property owners. Yeah.
Could be.
Do you need do you need a vote or a motion?
Well, we can.
Is consensus?
Yeah, we can. Also, the motion would be just to have Jarrett move forward with putting this into ordinance form.
Then I would say, so the mayor, to your comment, a couple off the cusp, changes I could make to this would include, it really should be already protected, but I could include some language in there that if it is located in a secondary street yard, it has to adhere to, like the principal structure setback requirements. So it has to be so many feet off, or it has to be double the normal setback requirements of an accessory structure. So instead of 3 feet, it has to be 6. Just setting that structure back further to allow for some more space. And so that could be a proposed, an option to add to this when I bring it forward next.
Okay. So, let's do this in a motion so that Jarrett knows what he needs to do. So, again, basically what we're doing is giving Jarrett permission to move forward with doing an accessory structure ordinance.
So Jared, would you bring that back to us before it would go to council then? Is
Yeah.
that what you're suggesting too?
Yeah.
Brian? Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Well, I'll make a motion then to move forward with the changes that Jared suggests and when it comes to accessory structures.
Second.
Motion by Fair, second by Wayne. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. I think we're just down to FYI stuff, right? I gotta get back to my agenda.
46.
At least it's not 500 pages tonight. Okay, so we have,
Excuse me, Mayor. That last motion was to, can you just repeat that again?
It,
I can write it down.
yeah, it's just to allow Jared to move forward with putting together an accessory structure ordinance
For review or for?
for review. Yeah.
Got it, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So down to reports, we have the internal site plan review report, September 2022 permit report, and then the code enforcement status reports, and also the development update. I don't care which order you do that in, but let's go with that.
Yeah, so development update report or site plan, internal site plan review is on page 46 of your packets. Again, still a lot of the same in-process permits that we've been trying to work through, a couple new ones. The overall internal site plans has died down, but a lot of other bigger projects, more complex projects, such as the 3 items we went through today, are currently on the table. So glad the internal ones have slowed down, allows a little more time to focus on the other ones. Otherwise, not much to change with there. Permits issued, permits are still up. Great to see. Aaron had included in his need to know letter, but we did recently hire or offer up the building inspector position that's been open to one of our applicants. He has subsequently accepted. He has went through all of the pre-employment necessities, so his start date is October 17th. We are super excited to have him on board. He will be a great addition to the team. He holds all of his UDC credentials already. So he'll be able to get off to a running start. So super excited, super great to see. I know Jane was super excited when we told her, as she is running around like a chicken with her head cut off even more than normal. So she's super excited. So it'll be a great addition. Glad to have him on board. And then code enforcement, nothing in the report. Have not, I guess, due to staff time being short-staffed, we haven't really inputted anything in. I've been trying to take care of the high-level ones, more health and safety ones right away. And then the other ones are on a delayed enforcement schedule until we can have our new employee start, try to take over some of the other tasks, and maybe help out with the code enforcement as well. So we'll hopefully be seeing some better reports or some more populated reports with that. In terms of development updates, on the 27th, and I guess three of you or 4 of you already know, but the development agreement was approved by council for a 120 unit apartment complex out in the River North area. So super exciting to have that moving forward. They're in sort of a due diligence period where they're finding financing and owner occupants now. Construction is hoping to start come spring, hopefully. Correct?
Probably more likely summer or fall, but
Summer or fall.
yeah.
So I'd say that's the big one. I will say another one, can't give too many details, but we did see Weasels close down. Super sad to see them go. I thoroughly enjoyed every dish I had from there. But new beginnings. We have heard that there already is another restaurant interested in that building. So super excited to have them come forward, see what they have, planned and what they're about. So that would be really it for new developments, I guess, unless anybody else has any other ones.
Yeah, I have a question, Jared, on your permits. Could you explain why all of the residents along Harrison Street where they're doing construction have to pay a $50 fee?
So that is going to be for the sewer lateral replacement, lead line replacement. The $50 would just be that general base fee for that work. We've charged them on all other past projects. I don't know
Right.
if there's a specific reason.
The property owners are not actually paying that fee. It's the contractors. The prime contractor has to pull all their proper permits, which include plumbing and electrical. They pay those fees. We pay them, then we get reimbursed through the DNR because it falls underneath the lead line replacement.
So when it's listed here, it's listed the $50 for all those, but they have to do that, but then in actuality, the resident doesn't really pay that.
Correct.
It just is a kind of an accounting.
The residents have like no cost,
Right.
very little time except for just coordinating and letting the contractors come inside.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good to know.
Go ahead, Andy.
I know this is just on my mind with weasels, and I don't, it's germane, I think, because you brought it up. They hold that liquor license till the end of the year. And, right?
Well, they owned it. They owned it.
Or, excuse
Till the
me,
end of
we
the fiscal.
issued it to them, and it's good to the end of the year.
And it's good till June 30th, but yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. All right, so that is a nice kind of, I don't want to call it a carrot, but it does, developer potential wants to get that all worked out and figure all that out, right? Because they're going to want to try to nail that license down, I'm guessing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And I have that as a discussion item in our development review team meeting, just so I can give them the correct information when I contact the owners or when they contact me. Because I don't exactly know how that transfers, what they have to do to transfer, if they have to do anything. So that's one discussion we'll have internally, but.
Well, whatever you do, don't let weasels relinquish it until they have discussion with the new property owner
Yeah.
on whether they want it. That would be the first item of discussion.
But Brian, wouldn't it, and just to follow up, does it stay with the owners or does it stay with the buildings?
Stays with the owners, belongs to the owner.
But if the owner chooses not to even have a business, it's still in their
Till
hands?
June 30th it is,
And then,
until they transfer it.
and what if they choose not to transfer it? Does it come back to the city
Well, they
then?
would lose it because they wouldn't have a business open anymore.
Okay, so then the city would take it over and then,
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are pretty coveted. Did we hit the 500 population mark to get qualify for another one?
We did, yeah. We do have an
Okay.
additional reserve
Awesome.
license because of gained population, which is the $10,000. So now we have $10,000.
Okay, anybody else? All right, sad day today, last game for the Brewers for the year.
Yeah.
Did they win all of the games after they were eliminated?
They got one tonight.
they were 1-1 when I left.
Oh, tonight? Yeah,
The
today.
afternoon this
It
afternoon.
was an afternoon game, you're right. We need a motion to adjourn, sorry. Motion by Olson, second by Wayne that we adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. We're adjourned at 6:15.